71 Adam. Traffic, Clyde and Federal, 259, all in FM.
Clear, shots fired. Do we have more cars going that way? Car following, I'm talking. Clyde and Federal, code 10 cover, officer down. Clyde and Federal, code 10 cover.
Where's he at?
Can I get some officers, Clyde and Federal, please?
10 Adam, I'm going.
Still eastbound, 20th Avenue.
Called out the traffic stop. The windshield was shattered. The front passenger, the female, opened the door, and we're going down Federal like 45 miles an hour, so my first thought was like, this is gonna be crazy. This chick's gonna jump out. The driver was smooth as ice, didn't look in the mirrors, didn't freak out, even turned on his turn signal to pull over, slowed down. And as they pulled up into the liquor store parking lot, she jumped out, started running. I had just grabbed the door handle and popped it and was starting to lean into the door, you know how you open a car door, when the first round hit me. I kind of looked down and I was like, who just punched me? And I looked up and I saw him and I was like, oh shit, that guy's got a gun. And then I saw a flash, but I still didn't hear anything. And I felt it hit me in the bicep, and so I kind of looked down and I was like, did that guy just shoot me? As I'm getting out of the car, I looked up again, I saw another flash, and I got hit in the forearm, and I was like, that guy shot me. So kind of getting out of the car, and so it's either, you know, I guess try to hide for cover, which I don't think is the right thing to do, or get in the gunfight. He was kind of like advancing really slowly, just bucking rounds. So I pulled my gun out, and I didn't want him coming near me. There's glass, because, you know, he was hitting the window, and so there's glass flying, so I was kind of going like that, and I went to bring my left arm up to get my hand on, and it kind of just flopped, so it didn't work, so I just started shooting as fast as I could, and just in the first couple seconds got hit in the right knee and the left shin, and that kind of knocked me to the ground. I don't know if his gun jammed or if he was out, but as I was shooting from the ground, I saw him run to the front of his car, and I could see that he was messing with his gun. And at that point, I realized that my gun was empty because the slide was back. So I jumped the magazine out, and I dropped my gun. And I got another mag out, and I slid it in. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I think what happened is when I dropped my gun, it racked on an empty chamber. Because I grabbed my gun, and then I smacked it into the curb to seat the magazine, since I couldn't use my other hand. And as I did that, he ran from the front of his car, and he kind of flanked out. There was another car parked to the south, and he kind of propped up on the hood of that car and started aiming and shooting again while I was down. So at that time, I thought my gun was reloaded, because like I said, I didn't realize that the slide had racked empty. But I finally was like, I gotta hit this guy, so I started aiming, and I mean, I had the perfect sight picture on the dude's head, and I pulled the trigger, and it didn't go bang, and I was pissed. I'm like, shh. I started freaking out, trying to get my gun racked, so I was kind of sliding it like this against my chest, and that's when he got me the last time in the thigh. Of all the painful areas so far, that was the worst, so I knew it was pretty bad. I kind of saw a lot of blood. Finally got my gun racked just as he started running back towards his car. But at that point, since I was behind my car, so all I could really see was his feet, so I just started shooting as fast as I could. Kind of as he got towards his car, he kind of stumbled into his car, so I assumed that I hit him. He took off northbound down the alley, and I kind of called out that I got shot and needed some help. That's pretty much how it happened.
16 Adam, rolling 6. Female in an orange shirt took off running. White male driver.
On this particular event, I called a couple of times. He didn't pick up, and it started nagging me in the back of my mind. He's not answering the phone. Something's up. Before I even left the lot, I got a call from Kathy Bancroft, who's been a friend of mine for many years on the police department. She said, "Hey, Tone, not to excite you, but your kid's primary on that call." And I said, "Oh, well, okay. Is anybody with him?" She goes, "No, he's by himself. And from the notes and from everything that's coming out, it sounds like he's been shot." I asked her, "Hey, do you have any idea of the severity of the injuries?" And she said, "Looks like, limbs."
Where's my ambulance?
Sir, we've got an ambulance going, code 10.
I heard the sirens coming, and the first person there was Corporal Felkins. When he got there, I was like, oh, it's Felkins, and I put my gun down, and then he started helping with my leg.
And he applied a tourniquet right away, and to this day, I will, and the family will always be grateful to Danny because he saved Tony's life.
And I always say, hey, hero, because, he is my hero, and he always will be.
Federal from Clyde to Spear all the way into DG. Officers from all units to keep that route clear for the ambulance.
coming up in the police family, and one of my dad's favorite sayings is you never give up and you never surrender. And so never thought for a second that I was going to die. My main concern was my wife, because she was 3 months pregnant at the time. You know, we were both so excited, and I was so excited. We were going to find out pretty soon, you know, what the gender was going to be. And
get to the hospital, and we're greeted right away, and then they take us into the, into the family area. And then the boss is there, and everybody's there, and they start talking to us saying, hey, the kid's really shot bad. Little did I know, or I didn't realize at the time, or wasn't privy to the fact that they had shared with Commander Sonier and probably with the boss that they didn't expect the kid to come out of surgery. I kind of reflect on that now. I'm kind of glad that I didn't know that, because we put great faith in God and figure if God wants to take our kid, that's not our call. So. What we got was, if he can make it for 12 hours, then that's a good thing. And we're like, holy cow. And if he can make it for 24, then he's got a fighting chance. And that kind of sunk in, and at that point it's like, wow, there's a good chance we're going to lose this kid yet. When it's your own kid, it kind of knocks you off your feet. And when I walked in there and saw my kid laying there, battered and bruised in and broken in many places, I was left speechless. So we were watching his blood pressure that first night, and his blood pressure kept dropping like in the mid 40s. I mean, dangerously low. And at one point, a nurse was standing over him, just kind of hand pumping fluids into him. And it seemed like they'd figured out that the more pain meds they put into him, the more it dropped his blood pressure. So at one point, we're like, you know what? We don't care if the kid's screaming. Do not medicate him to the point where he doesn't have a fighting chance to survive. So we sat in a chair, holding hands, praying all night, waiting for daylight and time to pass to see if he was going to survive horrific injuries. And we were blessed. God really looked out for us, and he survived a really bad night. So he couldn't talk. He had a breathing tube in, and he was hooked up to about every machine you could think of. He had him tied down so he wouldn't pull tubes out and stuff. And he could move his right hand so he would write us notes. And
so the first thing I wrote was, "My baby okay?" So that's kind of cool that was what I was thinking about, even though I wasn't really thinking.
The first couple weeks were tough. He was in bad shape.
You start rehab, and every day is painful.
But the kid's tough.
Every time I went to the doctor and they tell me, "Oh, you're not going to be able to walk again without crutches," I'd throw the crutches and go walk.
I think he's a lot like his mom. I don't know if he's a lot like his dad, but I think he's a lot like his mom in that respect. She's a tough cookie. He's a tough cookie. So.
And my wife, and anytime I was having a bad day, she'd give me a kick in the ass, and it'd kind of turn it around for me and get me going again. And so,
words can't begin to describe how grateful we are for everything that's been done for us to help us make our kid whole again, and to help our family become whole again and get back out there taking care of business.
I mean, there's cards from everywhere, from all kinds of people, from all walks of life. I remember somebody brought in a sheet of paper that somebody had written, "Sorry, I can't give more. This is all I have. I'm homeless." And it was like $2 bills taped to the paper that somebody left at TO. And it's like, man, that guy has nothing, and he still, for whatever reason, felt like he needed to do something. And so you see that, and you kind of think, like, there's a lot of good people in the world, and sometimes you forget about that when you're out there dealing with all the bad. But
I had no doubt that if Tony had a fighting chance, that there wasn't anything that was going to keep him from wearing that badge again.
And I got back to full duty on September 16th, and my birthday was 2 days later. So I was happy about that. I was proud about that. But couldn't have done it without my wife and my baby and the support of my parents and my sisters and my brother.
Kristen gave birth to our first grandkid, 12th of May. We are just over the moon. Before the baby came, I told the kid, I said, you're about to meet your best friend in life, and you just don't know it yet.